Shalom, my friends. Right now, at this very moment, there are millions of people around the world praying for financial breakthrough, asking the heavens for abundance, pleading for their debts to disappear, begging for that business opportunity to materialize. They recite prayers with desperate intensity, they cry out with genuine need, they promise to change if only their financial situation would improve. Yet month after month, year after year, many of these same people find themselves in the exact same financial prison, wondering why their prayers seem to bounce off the ceiling. Here's what most people don't understand. Heaven isn't ignoring your request for financial blessing. Heaven is waiting for something far more important than your words. The ancient sages of Israel discovered a divine principle that revolutionized not just spirituality, but the entire approach to prosperity and success. This wasn't some abstract philosophy disconnected from real-life struggles. This was practical wisdom, tested through centuries of persecution, exile, and against all odds, extraordinary financial success. The Jewish people, representing less than 0.2% of the world's population, have produced over 20% of Nobel Prize winners and control a disproportionate amount of global wealth. This isn't coincidence, genetics, or conspiracy. This is the result of understanding a fundamental code embedded in the Torah, that the universe doesn't respond to what you ask for, but to who you are becoming while you ask. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal 6 powerful dimensions of this ancient code that will completely transform how you approach your financial struggles. This isn't about positive thinking or manifesting. This is about understanding the divine architecture of prosperity that has sustained the Jewish people through impossible circumstances for over 3,000 years. If you're tired of praying for breakthrough without seeing results, if you're exhausted from trying every financial strategy while staying stuck in the same place, if you're ready to understand why some people seem blessed while others remain cursed despite similar circumstances, then what you're about to discover will change everything. Because the secret isn't in asking differently, the secret is in becoming different. The Torah teaches us something that modern psychology is only beginning to understand. The external world operates as a precise mirror of your internal state. In the book of Genesis, when Jacob prepares to meet his brother Esau after years of separation, he sends gifts ahead of him. The Talmud explains that Jacob understood a fundamental principle, Kamayim panim lepanim, ken lev ha'adam ladam. As water reflects face to face, so does the heart of one person to another, Proverbs 27:19. But the deeper mystical interpretation reveals that this reflection isn't just between people. This is how heaven itself responds to humanity. The divine abundance you're seeking isn't being withheld from you. You're being withheld from it by the person you currently are. Consider this carefully. Every time you pray for money while harboring resentment toward those who have it, you're sending mixed signals to the universe. Every time you ask for abundance while secretly believing you don't deserve it, you're creating what the Kabbalists call a klipa, a spiritual shell that blocks the flow of divine blessing. The ancient rabbis taught that before the morning prayers, a person should forgive everyone who has wronged them. Why? Because trying to connect with infinite abundance while holding grudges is like trying to pour fresh water into a cup filled with poison. The container of your consciousness must be purified before it can receive. Your financial prayers aren't failing because God isn't listening. They're failing because the person doing the asking isn't aligned with the blessing being requested. This is why the Torah emphasizes Vahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself, not as a nice moral teaching, but as a fundamental prosperity principle. The Baal Shem Tov, founder of Hasidic Judaism, taught that when you see a fault in another person, it's actually a reflection of a hidden fault within yourself that needs correction. Applied to finances, this means that when you see someone else's wealth and feel envy, you're actually blocking your own abundance. When you criticize how others manage their money, you're judging your own future prosperity. Heaven is indeed responding to your prayers, but it's responding to the character that generates those prayers, not the words you speak. The universe will give you exactly what the person you are deserves, not what the person you pretend to be requests. The Talmud contains a fascinating teaching. The blessing of the Lord rests only on something that is hidden from the eye. Ta'anit 8b. This isn't superstition. This is advanced spiritual technology. The ancient sages understood that before abundance can manifest in your life, you must first build the internal vessel capable of containing it. Think about it this way. If you take someone living in poverty consciousness and suddenly give them $1 million, statistical data shows that within a few years, most will return to their previous financial state. This isn't because the money was cursed. It's because the vessel wasn't ready. The character structure couldn't sustain the blessing. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov taught that every level of spiritual and material abundance requires a corresponding level of personal refinement. You cannot hold billion-dollar consciousness with $1,000 character. The Torah demonstrates this through the story of the manna in the desert. The Israelites were commanded to collect only what they needed for each day. Those who tried to hoard more found it rotting by morning. Why? Because God was training their character to match their destiny. They were going to inherit the land of Israel, a place of extraordinary abundance, but first they needed to develop the trust, discipline, and gratitude that would allow them to maintain that abundance. Your current financial struggle isn't a punishment. It's a training ground. Heaven is developing the vessel before pouring in the blessing. This explains why many people experience what appears to be divine resistance when they're on the verge of breakthrough. You start a business and immediately face unexpected obstacles. You finally get a better job and suddenly encounter major expenses. You begin to see increase and then something catastrophic happens. The sages call this Yerida Zorek Aliyah, a descent for the purpose of ascent. These aren't signs that you're cursed. These are signs that your character vessel is being expanded to hold more. Every financial setback you've experienced, every business failure, every investment that went wrong, every opportunity that slipped through your fingers, all of it was building your capacity. The question isn't why heaven hasn't answered your prayer for abundance. The question is, has your character grown enough to sustain the answer? Because when the vessel is ready, the blessing doesn't just come, it overflows. In the book of Leviticus, the Torah commands, "You shall not steal, you shall not deal deceitfully, and you shall not lie to one another." 19:11. Most people read this as basic moral instruction, but the Kabbalah reveals something far more profound. These aren't just ethical guidelines. These are laws of spiritual physics that govern the flow of abundance in the universe. Every time you take a shortcut, every time you bend the truth for financial gain, every time you compromise your integrity for a business advantage, you're not just violating a religious principle, you're literally disconnecting yourself from the source of all prosperity. The Hebrew word for integrity is temimut, which shares the same root as tamim, complete, whole, perfect. Integrity isn't about being good, it's about being whole enough to channel divine abundance. The Talmud tells a story of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who spent 12 years hiding in a cave studying Torah while running from Roman persecution. When he emerged, he saw a man plowing and planting, and he criticized him. They abandon eternal life and engage in temporal life. Immediately, a divine voice declared, "Did you emerge to destroy my world? Return to your cave?" What was happening here? Rabbi Shimon, despite his elevated spiritual state, had developed a consciousness that couldn't coexist with practical material activity. He had to return to the cave for another year until he could integrate spiritual truth with material reality. This teaches us something crucial. Any spirituality that makes you dysfunctional in the material world isn't true spirituality. Any pursuit of divine blessing that requires you to compromise your integrity isn't divine. It's demonic. Here's what this means for your finances. Every dollar you earn through deception, every client you acquire through manipulation, every advantage you gain through dishonesty creates what the Kabbalists call bread of shame. It's sustenance that cannot nourish. It's wealth that cannot satisfy. You might accumulate money, but you'll never experience prosperity. The difference? Money is what you have. Prosperity is what you are. The Torah promises that if you walk in integrity, you will eat the fruit of your labor, you will be happy, and it will be well with you. Psalm 128:2. Notice the progression. First you eat the fruit, financial provision. Then you're happy, emotional satisfaction. Then it's well with you. Spiritual alignment. Most people are trying to reverse engineer this. They want the money first, hoping it will bring happiness and wellness. But the divine design works in the opposite direction. Build the character of integrity first, and the prosperity flows naturally. Heaven doesn't bless shortcuts. Heaven blesses the long road walked with clean hands and a pure heart. The Torah contains one of the most counterintuitive financial principles ever recorded. Aser taser, you shall surely tithe. Deuteronomy 14:22. In Hebrew, this phrase literally means tithe you shall tithe, with the repetition emphasizing certainty and promise. The Talmud interprets this as aser bishvil shetasher, tithe in order that you may become wealthy. Ta'anit 9a. Think about the audacity of this statement. In a world where scarcity consciousness dominates, where people hoard every penny out of fear, the Torah commands you to give away 10% of your income and promises that this very act will make you wealthy. This isn't religious manipulation or financial irresponsibility. This is the revelation of a divine economic system that operates on completely different principles than human economics. Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk taught that the reason most people remain poor isn't because they don't have enough money. It's because they don't have enough trust in the source of money. When you hold tight to every penny, you're declaring to the universe, this is all there is, and if I let go, there won't be more. That consciousness of scarcity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Conversely, when you give generously even from limited resources, you're making a powerful declaration. I'm connected to an infinite source, and what flows through me is more important than what I hold. The Kabbalists explain that the divine name Elohim, which represents judgment and limitation, has the same numerical value, 86, as Hateva, nature. This teaches that the natural world operates by scarcity and competition. But the divine name Havaya, the Tetragrammaton, representing mercy and abundance, transcends nature. When you give, you're stepping out of natural economics and entering divine economics. Here's the practical application that will transform your financial life. Start giving before you feel comfortable doing so. The Vilna Gaon taught that giving when you're wealthy isn't the real test of character. Giving when you're struggling is when you forge the vessel for divine abundance. But here's the crucial distinction. Giving with resentment or with expectation of immediate return actually blocks the flow. The Torah specifies that gifts to the poor must be given b'lev tuv, with a good heart, Deuteronomy 15:10. This means you must cultivate genuine joy in giving, not perform it as a transaction. Your character is revealed not by what you give when you have plenty, but by how you give when you have little. Every dollar you share from a place of genuine generosity, even when it's difficult, is building a character structure that heaven can trust with greater abundance. The universe doesn't send more resources to people who hoard what they have. It sends resources to people who prove they can be conduits of blessing to others. In the book of Genesis, we find one of the most instructive financial stories in all of Scripture. Joseph's interpretation of Pharaoh's dream. 7 years of abundance would be followed by 7 years of famine. The entire survival strategy wasn't based on making more during the good years. It was based on the patience and discipline to save during abundance and the wisdom to distribute during scarcity. Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch points out that Joseph didn't become second in command of Egypt because of his ability to interpret dreams. Many people could do that. He rose to power because he possessed the rare character trait of savlanut, patient endurance. He could see beyond immediate gratification to long-term purpose. This is the character quality that heaven seeks before releasing extraordinary blessing. The Talmud teaches, he who is patient will ultimately see salvation, Bereshit 32b. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just about waiting passively for things to improve. The Hebrew word for patience, savlanut, comes from the root saval, which means to carry or bear a burden. True patience isn't inactive waiting. It's the ability to continue carrying your responsibility, maintaining your character, performing your duties, and guarding your integrity even when results aren't coming. Most people's prayers for financial breakthrough fail, not because God isn't answering, but because they give up just before the breakthrough arrives. They maintain good character for a month, a year, maybe even 2 years, and when the abundance doesn't come on their timeline, they abandon the principles and return to old patterns. The moment you quit is often precisely when heaven was about to respond. Consider the agricultural metaphors throughout Torah: planting, watering, growing, harvesting. Every farmer knows you don't plant a seed on Monday and expect fruit on Friday. There's a season for every phase, and rushing the process destroys the crop. Your financial situation operates by the same principle. The business you're building, the skills you're developing, the character you're refining, the network you're cultivating, all of this has a germination period that cannot be rushed. The Baal Shem Tov taught that often the greatest test comes right before the breakthrough, when everything appears to be failing. This is when most people abandon their character development and return to shortcuts, manipulation, or despair. But the few who maintain their integrity, continue their giving, persist in their prayers, and trust in divine timing even when nothing makes sense. These are the ones who experience what looks like sudden, miraculous financial transformation. It wasn't sudden. It was the harvest of character seeds planted in previous seasons of difficulty. The Torah reveals that Abraham was blessed with wealth not for his own sake, but so that you may be a blessing. Genesis 12:2. This introduces the most powerful prosperity principle in Jewish wisdom. Abundance flows most powerfully to those who align their financial success with a purpose beyond themselves. The Hebrew word for wealth, osher, shares the same letters as yashar: straight, righteous, aligned. True wealth isn't just about having money. It's about having resources that are aligned with divine purpose. This is why many people achieve financial success but never find satisfaction. They have money, but it's not osher. It's not aligned with who they're meant to be and what they're meant to accomplish. Rabbi Israel Salanter, founder of the Musar movement, taught that before you pray for wealth, you should first clarify why you want it. Not surface reasons like to be comfortable or to be secure, but the deep purpose that connects to your divine mission. The Talmud states, poverty follows the poor, Bava Kama 92a. This doesn't mean poor people are cursed. It means that poverty consciousness, the belief that life is only about surviving and accumulating for yourself, creates a cycle that's hard to break. Conversely, prosperity consciousness, the understanding that you're blessed in order to be a blessing, creates an entirely different energetic signature that attracts divine abundance. When your character development is connected to a mission larger than your personal comfort, heaven invests in your success because your success serves a greater purpose. Here's the transformative question that will unlock blocked abundance in your life. What would you do with financial abundance beyond taking care of yourself and your immediate family? What change would you create in the world? What people would you help? What divine purpose would you fulfill? The Kabbalists teach that every soul comes into this world with a unique mission, a specific tikkun, repair or correction that only you can accomplish. Your financial struggles might not be about you lacking something. They might be about you not yet understanding why you need what you're asking for. The moment you connect your request for prosperity to a purpose beyond yourself, you're no longer just asking for money. You're asking to become a partner in divine work, and heaven responds very differently to that request. This is why the Torah promises that when you align your character and your prosperity with divine purpose, you shall eat and be satisfied and bless the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. Deuteronomy 8:10. Notice, you eat, you're satisfied, and then you bless. The blessing isn't transaction. It's the natural overflow of a life aligned with divine purpose. So here's what we've discovered. Your financial breakthrough isn't delayed because heaven doesn't hear your prayers. It's delayed because heaven is responding to your character, not your words. Every moment of financial struggle you've experienced has been building the vessel that can contain the blessing you're seeking. The Torah's ancient wisdom reveals what modern success teachings miss. Lasting prosperity doesn't come to those who master the right techniques or speak the right affirmations. It comes to those who become the right kind of person. The mirror principle shows you that the external abundance you're seeking is a reflection of your internal state. The vessel principle reveals that character capacity determines financial capacity. The integrity principle proves that shortcuts block divine flow while righteousness opens it. The giving principle flips human economics on its head, showing that the pathway to receiving is generous giving. The patience principle teaches you that divine timing operates on harvest cycles, not microwave speed. And the purpose principle aligns your prosperity with something greater than personal comfort, making you a partner with heaven rather than just a petitioner. These aren't religious rituals disconnected from real financial results. These are spiritual laws as reliable as gravity. The Jewish people have proven their effectiveness through centuries of persecution and displacement, yet maintaining extraordinary prosperity, not because of genetic superiority or conspiracy, but because of character development based on Torah principles. Here's my challenge to you. Stop praying for your circumstances to change and start working on the person you're becoming in those circumstances. Develop the integrity that refuses shortcuts even when you're desperate. Cultivate the generosity that gives even from scarcity. Build the patience that maintains character when results are delayed. Clarify the purpose that connects your prosperity to divine mission. Do this consistently, not for a week or a month, but as a lifestyle commitment, and watch what happens. Not because you're manipulating the universe, but because you're finally aligning with how the universe actually works. The financial breakthrough you've been praying for isn't coming someday. It's waiting for someone. It's waiting for the person you're in the process of becoming. May the Ancient One of Israel bless you with the wisdom to develop character worthy of the abundance you seek, and may you become living proof that heaven responds not to the request, but to the one making it. Shalom.